The wind was dry and hot on planet Trevoris. Dust blew over the broken metal ruins of what once was a slave market. Crushed cages, scorched banners, and empty food carts were all that remained. The silence was heavy like the planet was holding its breath after a terrible storm. Darren Cole, a human soldier, walked slowly through the wreckage. His black armor was scratched from battle, and his helmet hung from his belt. In one hand he held a plasma rifle. In the other, a scanner that beeped softly. He was searching for life. Most aliens had already been taken away or rescued by the Peace Corps. But something in Darren's gut told him someone was still here. He stepped over a shattered cage. Bloodstains covered the floor. A broken collar dangled from a chain. Suddenly he heard it, a voice, weak, desperate. "Please, not my son. Punish me instead." Darren froze. He followed the sound, heart pounding, stepping carefully. The scanner beeped faster. Life sign close, behind a half-burned tent and a pile of crates. He found her. An alien woman on her knees, chained to a steel post. Her body was thin, bruised, and dirty. Her skin was a pale shade of purple, with glowing lines running along. Her arms, her clothes were torn, but her eyes were wide with fear and fire. In her arms, she held a small alien boy, no older than 6. His body was shaking, and he clung to her like he was part of her. Darren lowered his weapon slowly. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said, soft but clear. The woman hissed. "Don't lie to me. You're human. You're with them." "Them?" "The soldiers, the slavers, the ones who bought us." "You came here to punish us." Darren frowned. "That's not true. I fought the slavers. I destroyed this place." She didn't move. Her chains rattled as she pulled the boy closer. Darren looked at her closely. Her hands were bleeding. Her lips were cracked. And yet, she still held the child like a shield. He took a slow step forward. "What's your name?" She didn't answer. "I'm Darren. Human soldier, Alliance forces. I'm not your enemy." Still nothing. Then the boy looked up. His eyes were large and bright blue, but empty, like they had seen too much fear. He didn't speak, just stared. "I heard your voice," Darren said gently. "You said, 'Punish me, not my son.' Is he hurt?" The woman finally spoke, voice shaking. "No, but he hasn't eaten in days. He won't talk, he won't sleep." Darren opened his pack and took out a small food capsule. He placed it on the ground and stepped back. "I won't touch you. I just want to help." The woman hesitated. Then slowly she reached out and grabbed the capsule. She tried to give it to the boy, but he refused. She looked at Darren again. "You can take me. Do whatever you came to do. Just let him live." Darren knelt on one knee. "Listen to me. I'm not here to take anyone. I'm here to save survivors." She didn't believe him. He could see it in her eyes. She thought this was some trick, that he'd wait until she let her guard down, then strike. Darren had seen that fear before in war zones and refugee camps. He hated it. He stood up. "What's his name?" "Keel," she whispered. "Okay, I'm going to unchain you both. Then I'll get you out of here." She tensed. "You touch me and I'll bite." Darren gave a small, tired smile. "Fair enough." He pulled out a plasma cutter and carefully sliced through the chain. The woman didn't move, but her breathing grew faster. The chain fell with a loud clang. She grabbed her son and stood slowly. Her legs were weak, but she stayed standing. "I don't trust you, human," she said. "You don't have to." Darren replied, "But I think your son needs water, food, and hope. Let me give you that." She didn't answer, but she didn't run either. Darren tapped his command. "This is Sergeant Cole. I've got 2 survivors. 1 adult, 1 child. Requesting evac pickup, Sector D4, the radio cracked." "Copy that, Cole. Extraction in 15 minutes. Darren looked at the woman. "Do you have a name?" She stared at him for a long time. Then quietly she said, "Vera." "Okay, Vera," Darren said softly. "You're safe now." But in his gut, something twisted, because as they waited for pickup, Darren noticed something. The boy, Keel, was drawing something in the dirt with his finger, a strange symbol, and Darren had seen that symbol before. Back in a classified mission. Log dot, it was a warning. Asterisk, the dropship landed with a low hum, kicking up clouds of dust as its ramp lowered. Darren stood beside Vera and Keel, shielding them from the wind. The boy hid behind his mother's leg, silent as ever. Vera kept her eyes on the soldiers exiting the ship, her body tense like a wild animal ready to fight or run. "They're with me," Darren said loudly. "No threats." The soldiers didn't move toward them. One gave a short nod. Darren helped Vera and Keel climb aboard. She limped, but never let go of the child's hand. The three of them sat in the back while the door closed and the dropship lifted off. Inside, it was quiet except for the hum of the engine. Darren handed Vera a small water packet. She took it but gave it to Keel first. He didn't drink. Just, stared at the floor. Darren watched her. The way she wrapped her arms around Keel, the way she looked at every soldier in the dropship, like they might steal her child. She was more than just a survivor. She was a shield. Back at the field base, the medics tried to examine her injuries. But Vera refused to be separated from Keel. "No one touches him," she warned. "You can scan me, but he stays with me." The medics backed off. Darren sat nearby, arms crossed, watching. He couldn't blame her. If humans had done to her what he feared, she had every right not to trust them. Later, he brought her a warm meal. She sniffed it first, then let Keel taste a bite. Only after he ate did she eat too. Darren finally spoke. "I've seen mothers protect their kids before," he said softly. "But not like that, not after days of no food or water." Vera didn't look at him. She stared at the floor. "He says, all I have?" Darren nodded. "I get that." "You don't," she said coldly. "Your people, they came to our planet saying they brought peace. Then they made deals with the worst kinds of traders. And when we said no, they turned their backs. They let the slavers take us." Darren's jaw tightened. "I didn't know." "I don't care what you knew," she said. "I care what you do now." Darren didn't argue. Instead, he pulled a chair close. "What happened to Keel's father?" Vera's eyes flickered. Pain crossed her face. "He died protecting us. When the slavers came, he fought. They took him first, made me watch." Her voice broke, but she didn't cry. After that, Keel stopped speaking, just stopped. Darren lowered his voice. "I saw him draw something in the dirt, a symbol." Vera nodded. "It's a warning. From a group called the Drax Syndicate." Darren froze. "The Drax? You know them? Only from classified files?" "They're dangerous. They don't just sell slaves. They erase entire bloodlines." Vera whispered. "They're looking for Keel, not just to sell? To use." "Use?" "He carries something in his blood, something rare. I don't fully understand it. But they do. That's why they won't stop." Darren stood slowly. "Then we make sure they don't find him." She looked up. "Why would you help us?" "Because," Darren said, "you didn't break. Even chained, starving, and afraid you chose to shield your son. That's real strength." For the first time, Vera's eyes softened. "He's still not talking," she said quietly. "I'm afraid he won't ever again." Darren thought for a moment. Then he pulled something from his pocket, a small old music device. "This belonged to my mom. She used to sing to me when I was a kid, before the war took her." He handed it to Keel. The boy looked at it, curious. Darren pressed a button. A soft lullaby began to play. Simple notes, warm and slow. Keel didn't speak, but he moved. His fingers gently tapped the beat on his leg. Vera gasped. "He hasn't responded to anything in days," Darren smiled. "Music reaches places words can't." That night, Darren sat outside the medical tent, watching the stars. Vera stepped out quietly and sat beside him. For a long time, neither spoke. Then she said, "If anything happens to me, promise you'll protect him." Darren looked at her, serious. "Don't talk like that. You're not dying." She shook her head. "You don't understand. The Drax don't forget. They hunt, and if they find us, they won't." Darren cut in. "I'll make sure of it." Vera looked at him. "Why? Why risk your life for us?" He turned his eyes back to the stars. "Because once I saw a woman beg for her child's life, and no one helped. I couldn't forget her voice. I won't make the same mistake again. A silence followed, then from inside the tent a soft voice called out, "Mama?" Vera's heart stopped. She rushed inside. Keel was sitting up. He had spoken. For the first time in days he had spoken. Vera held him close, tears finally falling from her eyes. Darren stood at the doorway, quietly smiling, but deep down he knew peace wouldn't last. Because if the Drax Syndicate was involved, this was only the beginning. Morning came quietly. The field base stirred as soldiers started their routines. Darren stepped out of the sleeping tent, stretching his arms. But his mind was already on the boy Keel. He walked toward the medic tent and peeked inside. Vera was awake, sitting beside her son, brushing his hair with her fingers. Her eyes were red from crying, but there was a small smile on her lips. Keel sat silently, legs crossed, staring at the music device Darren had given him. He didn't speak again after last night, but that one word, "Mama," had given Vera hope. Darren stepped inside. "How's he doing?" Vera looked up, quiet but calmer. Keel didn't look at Darren, but his fingers moved, tapping that same rhythm again, soft, like the melody was still playing in his mind. Darren knelt beside him. "You like music?" Keel glanced at him, just for a second, then looked away. "Hey," Darren said gently. "Do you want to draw?" He placed a small data pad and stylus in front of Keel. For a moment, the boy didn't move. Then slowly he reached for the pen. Darren and Vera watched silently as he drew. The same strange symbol from the desert. A circle broken in two. A jagged line cutting through it. Ver a single quotes S body TENSED. Darren frowned. That's their mark again. The Drax Syndicate. Keel didn't stop drawing. He added something. 3 small stars under the symbol. What does it mean? Darren asked softly. Vera whispered, "He's trying to tell us something." Keel looked up at her. His eyes were serious. Then he pointed at the stars and held up 3 fingers. Darren leaned. "In 3? 3 what?" Keel slowly turned the pen and tapped the picture. 1 tap on the symbol. 3 taps under the stars. Then he pointed to the sky. Vera gasped. "He means they're coming. 3 ships." Darren stood. "We need to leave, now." Minutes later, the alert rang across the base. Unidentified vessels entering orbit. Repeat, 3 unknown ships. Soldiers scrambled. Defense systems powered up. Darren grabbed his gear and rushed Vera and Keel to a secure room. Inside, he handed Vera a small blaster. "Stay here. Don't open this door unless it's me." Vera looked nervous. "You said we were safe." "I was wrong," Darren said. "But I'll fix it." He turned to leave, but Keel grabbed his sleeve. The boy held out the drawing. He had written 1 word at the bottom, "Run." Darren's heart sank. He patted Keel's shoulder. "I won't run, I fight." On the command deck, Darren joined the officers. The scans showed 3 ships in low orbit. No ID, no hails. Their weapons were charging. "Drax Syndicate," Darren said. "It's them." The commander looked at him. "How do you know?" "Because a 6-year-old just warned us," the officer scoffed. "We don't take orders from kids." Darren stepped forward. "You should when that kid's blood is worth more than your entire base. If they want him, they'll burn this place to the ground." A long silence followed. Then the alarm blared. "Missile launch detected. Incoming strike." The first blast hit the outer shield. The ground shook. Lights flickered. Smoke rose from the east side of the base. Darren ran back to the secure room. He opened the door. "We're moving." Vera grabbed Keel. "Where?" "There's a transport shuttle in Bay 4. I'll get you there." Explosions echoed behind them as they ran. Sparks fell from the ceiling. Keel clung to his mother. Darren led the way. Blasting a hole through a sealed corridor with his plasma rifle, they reached the bay, but the shuttle was locked. Darren slammed his fist against the control panel. Come on." Another blast hit the base. The walls cracked. Metal groaned. Keel walked forward. He placed the drawing against the panel. The same symbol. The broken circle, and the door opened. Darren stared. "What the—" Vera whispered. They programmed their code into his mind. He remembers things he shouldn't. Darren looked at Keel. You're more than a target, you're the key. They boarded the shuttle. Darren took the controls. Hold on! As they lifted into the air, two of the Drax ships spotted them. One fired. A missile streaked through the clouds. Keel placed his hand on the side panel. The ship jerked, then moved faster. Auto navigation changed. The engines roared stronger than they should. Vera gasped. He's doing it. He's flying with you. The missile missed. Darren stared in disbelief. He's connected to the system. He's saving us. They escaped into the upper atmosphere. Behind them, the base exploded. The last thing they saw was fire and smoke swallowing the landing zone. Inside the shuttle, silence returned. Darren looked back. Keel sat quietly, eyes closed. His breathing soft and steady. Vera hugged him close. He hasn't spoken, she whispered, but he just saved all of us. Darren nodded slowly. The Drax want him because he's different, special, but we won't let them have him. Vera looked into Darren's eyes. What now? He checked the stars. We find a place where they can't reach him. But deep in space inside one of the dark ships, a Drax commander stared at a screen. Target escaped, but the connection was made. Another figure stepped from the shadows. Good, it hissed. Then we know where to follow. The stars stretched across the black sky as the shuttle glided through deep space. Inside, silence ruled. Darren sat at the controls, but his eyes were tired, his mind running. In the back, Vera lay curled around her son. Keel was finally asleep, wrapped in a thermal blanket. His breathing was slow, steady, but even in sleep, his hand rested on the wall like he still felt the ship's systems. Darren whispered to himself, "What are you, kid?" The shuttle beeped softly. Incoming signal. Darren tapped the console. A message flashed. Unauthorized. Access attempt detected. Source unknown. Location nearby. Darren's spine stiffened. He activated a scan. One ship. No ID. No transponder. And it was following them. He rushed to the back. Vera, wake up. She opened her eyes quickly. Her hand reached for the blaster before she realized it was Darren. We've got a shadow on. Our tail, he said. No signal. Could be Drax. Her face went pale. Already? How did they find us so fast? I don't know, but I have a guess. He looked at Keel. The boy stirred in his sleep. Maybe they're not tracking the shuttle, Darren said. Maybe they're tracking him, Vera shook her head. I thought we left everything behind, not if the connection's inside him. The ship couldn't outrun their follower. The engines weren't built for it. Darren changed course. Aiming for an old mining moon cold, abandoned, and full of tunnels. We'll lose them underground, he said. They landed hard. Dust flew up. The moment they touched down, Darren opened the hatch. We move on foot. Vera carried Keel. Darren scanned the area. Nothing on radar. Yet the tunnels were dark, silent, and cold. Their boots echoed as they moved deeper. Keel opened his eyes. Where are we? Darren almost dropped his scanner. He spoke. Vera hugged him tightly. It's okay, my son. We're hiding. You're safe. But Keel shook his head. They're here. Darren stopped. What do you mean? Keel pointed forward. They're not following. They're waiting. Darren's blood went cold. He moved ahead, flashlight sweeping the tunnel. Broken machines, rusted crates, and old mining gear filled the space. But something wasn't right. Then he saw it, a small device, pulsing red, a beacon. Darren swore under his breath. They planted it. They lured us in. Suddenly the ground behind them shook. Vera screamed. Figures emerged from the darkness stall. Armored, faces hidden behind black masks. Drax hunters, 3 of them. Keel shouted, "Run!" Darren fired his rifle. The blast hit the wall as one hunter dodged. Another leapt at him. Vera ran with Keel, deeper into the tunnel. Darren rolled aside, shot again, this time hitting one square in the chest. The creature fell, twitching, but the other 2 kept coming. Darren pulled a grenade from his belt. You want him? He growled. Come and bleed. He threw the grenade and ran. The explosion lit the tunnel. Dust filled the air. He caught up with Vera and Keel near a fork in the path. Split up, he shouted. You go left, I'll draw them right. Vera hesitated. No, he grabbed her hand. Protect him. That's all that matters. She nodded, tears in her eyes. Darren ran right. The Drax chased him. He led them through narrow paths, deeper into the mine. He dropped another charge behind him and hit the detonator. The tunnel collapsed. For now, he was safe. But for how long? Meanwhile, Vera reached a small storage room. She placed Keel inside a broken crate, covering it with blankets. Stay here. Don't make a sound. He grabbed her arm. Don't leave me. She kissed his forehead. I'll be back. She stepped into the hallway and waited. Gun ready. Heart pounding, then footsteps. Heavy, slow, getting closer. A shadow appeared. Vera fired. The hunter staggered but didn't fall. It raised its weapon. Then a sudden burst of plasma came from the side. The hunter collapsed. Darren stepped into the light, blood on his cheek. Told you I'd fix it. They hurried back to Keel. Dodie was still inside the crate safe, but shaking. Vera hugged him tightly. Darren placed a hand on her shoulder. We can't stay here. This place is a trap. She nodded. Where do we go? There's a human outpost nearby. Abandoned years ago, but with a long-range comm. We can call for help? And if the Drax get there first? Darren looked at Keel. Then we stop hiding. Hours later, in the shadows of space, the last Drax hunter crawled from the rubble. Half of its mask was broken, revealing part of its gray, scaled face. It stared at the moon sky. Its voice came out cold. The child is evolving. The human interferes. Send the prime hunter. Asterisk. The abandoned outpost sat on a frozen ridge, half buried in snow. Rusted towers leaned against the wind, and broken lights blinked like dying stars. No signals had come from this place in over 10 years. And yet Darren Cole stood at its locked gate, punching codes into a cracked panel. Behind him, Vera held Keel close. The boy's breath came in soft clouds, his small body wrapped in Darren's thermal jacket. I've seen places like this before, Vera whispered. Places where soldiers disappear, Darren grunted. Yeah, that's why we're here, because no one would expect us to come. With a final beep, the gate creaked open. Inside, the outpost was dark and silent. Empty crates, shattered glass, and long-dead consoles filled the rooms. But the power still worked. Barely. Darren guided them to a sealed chamber near the back. He activated a console and found what he was hoping for, a long-range transmitter. I'll send a message to my old squad. He said, they're not perfect, but they don't follow orders blindly. If anyone can help us, it's them. Vera watched him. You trust your people? Darren paused. No, I trust the ones who stayed human. Keel sat beside an old vent, his small hand pressed to the wall again. He didn't speak, but his eyes were wide alert. Something's wrong, he whispered. Darren turned. What is it? Keel pointed at the vent. There's another signal. Someone's listening. Darren scanned the system. Static buzzed. Then a voice came through, cold and calm. Sergeant Cole, you've gone too far. Darren stiffened. He knew that voice. Commander Brask, his former leader. You stole classified survivors. You disobeyed a direct order. Return them now, and we'll forget your betrayal. Darren stared at the speaker. No. Brask's voice was colder now. This is not your war anymore, Cole. You are interfering with a Drax trade operation sanctioned at the highest level. Vera's eyes narrowed. Sanctioned? They knew, Darren muttered. The brass knew and let it happen. Brask continued, you have 1 hour or we come for you. The signal cut. Darren slammed a fist into the console. All this time, I thought I was fighting evil, but I was protecting it. Vera stood beside him. Now you know? So what will you do? Darren looked at her, then at Keel, and in that moment, the war wasn't about orders. It was about them. He turned to the wall and opened a locked storage unit. Inside were old weapons, plasma launchers, EMP grenades, and one powerful device. A cloaking field generator. We're not running, he said. We're going to vanish, then hit them where it hurts. But they'll track us again, Vera warned. Darren smiled. Not this time. Keel's going to help us hide. They activated the cloaking device. Keel placed his hand on it. The system pulsed and shimmered. The entire room flickered, then disappeared from scanners. Darren stared. He's not just helping it, he's enhancing it, Vera nodded. He learns from machines. He doesn't just connect, he speaks their language. Suddenly, Keel spoke. They're close. I feel the prime. Darren frowned. Prime? Vera whispered. The Dracs don't send the prime hunter unless a target is too dangerous to leave alive. Minutes later, outside the outpost, the ice cracked. A dark figure landed from the sky, taller than the others. Armor black and silver, its mask shaped like a skull. Its fingers long, with built-in blades that hissed with energy. The prime hunter it. Looked up at the ridge and spoke in a low, chilling voice. I am the end of the boys' line. Then it vanished in a blink, moving faster than sight. Inside, Keel gasped. He's here! Darren loaded a launcher. Then we give him a welcome. He placed Keel and Vera inside a hidden shaft and sealed it, no matter what happens. Darren said, You don't come out unless I call you. Vera grabbed his arm. Don't do this alone, he looked into her eyes. If I don't, he won't have a future. Vera didn't argue, because deep down she knew. Darren moved through the halls like a ghost. Every step calculated. Every breath silent. He set traps, mines, blasters ready to fire. But when the prime entered, it moved like shadow. None of the traps worked. Darren fired. The shots bounced off its armor. The prime lifted Darren with one hand. You are not his blood. It said no, Darren gasped. But I'm his shield. He pulled an EMP grenade and slammed it into the prime's chest. Boom. Sparks flew. The creature stumbled. Darren fell, coughing. But the prime stood again, limping, but alive. You bleed, it growled. And now, so will he. Deep below, Keel felt a sharp pain in his chest. Like something cold had touched his heart. Vera held him tight. Stay with me, we're almost through this. Above them, Darren dragged himself toward a backup panel. His blood left a trail behind him, but he reached it. He entered the old command override, and with his last strength, he opened a come signal to anyone who still believes in right and wrong. I need backup. Far across the system, a small squad received the message. One soldier looked up. It's Cole, she said. And he's breaking orders again. Another smiled. Then we're going. Snow fell slowly over the ruined outpost. The icy wind howled through broken towers, carrying the scent of smoke and fire. Inside, the walls trembled as two forces prepared to face each other, one to destroy, and one to protect. Darren Cole stood, injured but alive, leaning against the steel wall. Blood stained his side, and one eye was swollen. But his hands were steady on the plasma launcher. His message had been sent. Now, all he could do was hold the line. Footsteps echoed down the metal hall. Slow, heavy, deliberate. The prime hunter appeared from the shadows, armor glowing faint red, claws sharp and humming with deadly energy. Darren smiled through bloodied teeth. Ready for round two? Far below, in the shaft's hiding chamber, Vera held Keel close. He sat with his head against her chest, eyes half open, breathing shallow. Is he still out there? Vera asked. Keel nodded weakly. He's angry. He's cold inside. She stroked his hair. Then your guardian needs help. Keel looked up. But I'm just a kid. Vera touched his cheek. You're not just anything, you're ours. And that makes you strong. He closed his eyes, then slowly reached his hand to the wall. Above, the prime struck. Darren rolled, barely dodging a plasma slash. Sparks exploded as the blade carved the floor. Darren fired, but the blast was caught midair by a glowing shield. You're not fast enough. The prime growled. Maybe not, Darren said, backing toward the control room. But I don't need to be. Suddenly, the power flickered. Lights dimmed. Walls VIBRFED. The prime paused. The speakers roared to life with a small voice. Leave my family alone. It was Keel. The outpost systems began to shift. Doors sealed, vents closed, panels sparked. The building itself came alive. Keel was controlling it. Vera stood at his side, watching her son's eyes glow faint blue as he focused. You're guiding the whole system? She whispered. Keel nodded. I can feel everything. The walls, the Lights, the weapons, then help him win. The floor under the Prime jolted. Hidden panels, open laser traps activated. It dodged most, but one beam sliced into its leg. Darren rushed in. Swinging a metal pipe into its side, the Prime roared, slashing back, but before it could strike again, a shock blast hit its back. Reinforcements had arrived. From above, ropes dropped. 3 soldiers in white and gray armor slid down. One pulled off her helmet-sharp eyes and a scar over her brow. "Miss me, Cole?" Darren laughed. "Tara, took your time." She tossed him a fresh plasma rifle. "Let's end this." Together, the small squad attacked. Keel guided the room opening. Trapdoors, firing old cannons, and closing escape paths. Vera fed him strength with whispered words. "You are not weak. You are not alone." The Prime fought with fury. It slammed one soldier into a wall. Another's weapon was torn from his hands, but Darren and Tara fought like one mind, covering each other. Blasting from both sides, the Prime lunged at Darren, claws ready. Suddenly, the floor dropped out beneath it. Keel had triggered the shaft. The creature fell into the darkness. For a moment, silence, then a crash. The Prime crawled up the wall, growling. Sparks flying from its armor. Darren stepped forward. "I told you you'd bleed." He threw a charge. Boom. The wall behind the Prime exploded. The blast launched it. Backward into the cold night outside, the survivors stood, panting. Wounded but standing, Vera ran to Darren and held him tight. Keel stepped out of the hidden shaft, blinking against the light. Tara looked at him. "That's the kid? He's just a boy." Darren put a hand on Keel's shoulder. "He's the boy." Keel looked up. "Did I do okay?" Darren smiled. "You saved us." Later, they stood by the shuttle. The fire in the outpost still burned behind them. Tara said, "HQ will want answers." Darren shrugged. "Let them ask. And if they say Keel's dangerous?" Darren's face hardened. "Then I'll remind them." Some hearts beat louder than orders. Deep in the ice, the broken body of the Prime Hunter lay still, but far away. In the black halls of the Drax command ship, a voice hissed, "Phase 1 failed. Prepare Phase 2, the boy must be taken alive?" A warm breeze drifted across the green hills of New Terra Colony. Trees swayed gently. Children laughed in the distance. It felt like peace. Darren Cole didn't trust it. He sat on the edge of a wooden deck outside the safe house, a hot cup of recaf in his hand. His body still ached from battle, scars fresh under his clothes. But his eyes watched the fields. Like a soldier still waiting for shadows, behind him the door creaked open. Vera stepped out. "No sign of Drax?" she asked softly. Darren shook his head. "Not yet." "Doesn't mean they're gone." Vera sat beside him. "It's been 3 weeks. Maybe they gave up?" He gave a tired smile. "They don't give up. They get clever." Inside the safe house, Keel sat on the floor, surrounded by small gadgets, some broken, some humming with light. He was building something again. His fingers moved faster than ever. Tara, now part of their small team, watched from the corner, eating a protein bar. "He's scary smart," she said. Vera smiled proudly. "He always was. He just needed space to show it." Keel looked up. "This one's for defense. It senses danger." Tara raised an eyebrow. "That little thing," Keel nodded. "If anyone comes with bad thoughts, it will know." That night, under a sky full of stars, Darren walked the perimeter with Tara. "You ever think this'll end?" she asked. "Not while Keel's alive," he said. She glanced at him. "So what's the plan? Run forever?" "No," Darren said. Firmly, "we stop running when they stop chasing." "And if they don't?" He looked toward the safe house where Vera and Keel were reading by soft lamplight. "Then I fight," he said. "Because my heart was never built to walk away." Just past midnight, Keel woke up. His machine glowed red. He ran to his mother. "They're here." Before anyone could speak, a deep rumble filled the earth. Above the sky, 3 dark ships hovered silent and massive. Darren grabbed his rifle. Tara loaded her gear. "This is it," she said. "No," Darren said. "This is ours." The Drax landed in the field, silent, deadly. But this time, they didn't rush to attack. They stood in formation, weapons lowered. And at the front stood a voice. Not the Prime Hunter. Not a soldier, but a tall, silver-robed Drax figure, calm, sharp-eyed diplomat. He spoke in clear, slow English. We do not wish to destroy. We wish to claim what belongs to us. Vera stepped forward. He is not yours. The Drax nodded toward Keel. The child carries a gift. He was designed long ago, hidden, bred to serve. Now, he must return. Darren raised his rifle. Over. My dead body? The Drax didn't blink. If that's what you choose? Keel walked forward, stepping between them. I'm not your weapon, he said clearly. I'm not your tool. You are a seed, the Drax said, meant to become. More. I already became more, Keel answered. I became myself. The Drax's eyes narrowed. Then you deny your purpose? Darren stepped beside him. He makes his own purpose. He's not property. The Drax raised one hand in dozens. Of soldiers stepped forward. Blasters Tara whispered, We can't win a shootout. Keel looked up at Darren. Let me try something. He walked forward, alone, and then he reached out, not with hands. With his mind, machines around. The field flickered. The Drax ships blinked. Weapons stuttered. Keel's eyes glowed softly. I don't want to hurt you, he said, but I will never go with you. The earth shook. Keel lifted one hand and every Drax weapon powered down. The ships lost control. They hovered, then crashed gently into the fields. Like sleeping giants, gasps filled the air. Even the Drax diplomat stepped back. What are you? Keel looked at Darren, then his mother, and smiled. I'm human enough. The Drax fled, not in fear, but in confusion. They had come for a weapon, but found a soul. Later that night, Darren sat alone with Keel by a campfire. You didn't kill them, Darren said. Keel nodded. Didn't want to. Darren looked at him. You had the power. Why not? Keel poked the fire with a stick. Because you didn't. When you found Mom and me, you could have left us? Everyone else did. But you didn't. He looked up. Your heart? It's not cruel, so I didn't want mine to be either. Darren felt something tight in his chest. Not pain, not pride. Something deeper. He placed a hand on Keel's shoulder. You made your own path, kid. That's what being human really means. Vera came out, wrapped in a blanket. She sat beside them, pulling Keel into her lap. The stars above were calm again. The sky, finally, was theirs.